response and would be a lesson for the future. And I think, giving a warning and then just doing it, because we're trying to be transparent and be communicative. I mean, I spent quite a bit of time answering John Hezzy's questions about cash flow in the last 24 hours. And, I think it's important for us to try to be as transparent as we can on everything that we can be transparent on. And they come to the meeting because they want to do what they did, and partly they want to find out. I mean, Wesley came because he wanted to find out what's going on. Well, now he knows, I think it's a valuable exercise. So that's I think it's working well, taking these controversial subjects and doing a PowerPoint presentation.
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, I
It's
don't
the
either.
yelling at me,
Yeah, well,
back and
And
forth.
we have these
That's-
meeting
that's-
norms, we have these meeting norms, but
Yeah.
And then we don't enforce
Yeah.
them.
we're not.
Yeah, in balance, we need to have that while there's a woman saying that we're holding guns to people's heads in the audience. It's like clear provocation, clearly inappropriate for any kind of meeting, let alone a meeting of a school board. And I think allowing that to happen is damaging.
Yeah, but you cannot, there is free speech, and there's a certain level that you just have to tolerate. And I don't think, I agree that blurting and the interrupting can be, we can always continue to improve the management of them. But we cannot stop people from being obnoxious, what we view as obnoxious and rude, and because that they feel that stuff deeply, and I just think we're better off letting them do what we did tonight. Let them have their moment to communicate to us what it is they deeply believe, because they do deeply believe it. Sierra's right.
Yeah, no, I agree, we need to hear it, but I think when it becomes blurting and then people are like, no this, no, and that part.
I agree.
I could have gotten a quicker handle on it for
I
sure,
think-
and
And it's,
just say,
but
yeah.
it's really hard to do that, cause it gets really
No, but I think
emotional.
we could continue, that was really good, that cutting off the debate, that made its point.
Yeah.
And
Well, at the same time, though, I think that line of where you cut the debate off feels different for them.
Right.
To them, that feels really early. So, I guess I kind of agree with Con a little bit on that, maybe just let it rumble out of control for a little bit, just so they can feel they get it out. And then, I noticed that the protests, a lot of them felt bad for being so amped up. And then once they admitted that, then we actually had conversation, substantial, it's arguable, but but more meaningful than yelling at each other.
I think the comment that was made earlier about, here to do business for the school, I think is important, and if it's interrupting that ability, or even if that's energetically taking the focus, that we're on the defensive as opposed to creative, constructive, I think that's just to remember the goal is to do the school's business. I think, when you had the presentation with all the numbers, it's publicly available, something about the leadership council, you're like, it's in our charter, go read it. And then there's a point of disagreement, you say, we just disagree, it might be settled in court. That, I thought those were conclusive, they weren't points of argument, and the information is there. And first I thought the no blurt was actually in your PowerPoint, and I was like, oh, as well. You should adopt our classroom agreements too,
We're teaching
but-
that to our kids every day.
but I think the point that this is school public participation is a big point. This is public in your public school. Okay, well, if you want to participate in public forum, you have to follow rules, and if you don't follow those, you lose your right. So I thought you were totally correct to cut people off, but it's somehow reestablished it's not appropriate. If you're here to disrupt, you can protest, but if you want to participate, we'll allow you. But then you lose your right to speak if you can't follow the rules.
I was just going to say the one piece of constructive feedback I would offer. I think it's really important to maintain the discipline of not responding to a question that is out of, most of the time that happened, but then someone would be like, blah, 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 and you really wanna answer, like, just as a point of fact, like, you didn't,
That's an
it
area
wasn't
where
in
you're
the
much
beginning,
better.
Yeah.
because it just encouraged, well, I'm doing it right now, because I wasn't open to public comment, but that should be just like, if
It should be very
you
clear, yes.
had your chance to ask a question, you didn't, you can come back you can come back next month and ask the question on that topic again, but otherwise, it just comes apart.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, just a suggestion on that point. I mean, I think, referring to the document sometimes is appropriate, but, for example, and I'm speaking personally for myself, I come here to get the color behind the documents. So I agree there's a fine line, like, for example, apparently someone informed me that real estate search was covered at a prior meeting, so I'm sorry I wasted time
It was
talking
covered
about that.
earlier today.
Well, not to the degree that I was asking the question, in my view, so, my apologies for wasting the time. But yeah, I mean, I think there's mountains of documents, right? But I think a lot of people, even a lot of different motivations to come to these meetings. But I think for some people, it's to get the color and the explanation from you guys. So I would just say, balance that, and just be careful. I think that's, people want to hear your interpretation, not just a document.
I think there are times when the board was also not following the rules, and that encourages the back and forth to get going. And so I know there's a desire to answer the questions, but
That's his point, is that-
I know, but I had my hand up first, so I'm saying it.
I just had a question about the enforcement of the meeting norms, because something that I was trying to listen and pay attention, and I was having real trouble with, the listen respectfully and don't, audibly react when someone is speaking, and there was so much whispering and laughing and just like sniggering and stuff that people were saying going on behind me, and nobody said anything about it. It went on through the entire meeting, and I kept wanting to turn around and say, excuse me, can you please stop being so rude? It's really rude to do that when someone's speaking, and it's in meeting norms, which you covered. At some point, does somebody stand up and go like, hey, can everybody please stop?
We don't do, I wonder if, at the beginning of the next meeting, we need to sort of have a recap of some of this, like, these are some things, we've gone over these, but these are some things that, really, that we didn't follow last time, that there are particular issues, and kind of highlight them. And then I guess my question, maybe we talk about is, when that happens, do we wait for Sharon to correct it, or
Or sometimes
all
maybe you guys can
take
point it out.
turns?
It's
I mean-
okay to point it out to me too, because
but do you want us to
sometimes-
point out to you, or
Here's
say
a
something?
here's a
How do you-
suggestion. I think that it's really a good point.
Yeah.
And I think that, the way to deal with that is, who's ever noticing it, say, like I'm talking, excuse me, Con, so-and-so, would you please stand up and, it's like, call them out and say, what is it about these norms that you disagree with or don't understand?
Helping them.
Because you're not doing it. And just basically call them out personally.
But we had a meeting, I think it might have been last summer, it was the one that we had over in the San Antonio Rec Center. And you did call somebody out and you said, we're gonna have to ask you to leave if you can't stop. And
Yeah,
his
they
response was, go ahead and make me, go ahead and call the cops, I don't care. And so when that's their attitude,
Nothing you can
what do you do with
No,
that?
We stop the meeting.
You don't have to say you have to leave, you just have to point out what they're doing, because they're actually.
How about the time that I said, I really appreciate how most of you are following the meeting norms? That actually made a difference.
Right.
Because that one guy just sort of was like,
I have just a quick thought on this. I do think it would be nice if we just came up with some quick convention, like point of order, right? Like that refers to like our meeting norms, so anybody at any time who notices that something is violating our rules can just yell it out, point of order, like no blurting or whatever, or no snickering or whatever it is, right? And then let the meeting continue to, like, the thing I don't like about this, this suggestion just right there is that it disrupts the entire meeting to stop and focus on the disruptor.
Okay,
I'd much rather just have a quick shortcut of like, this is a point of order, not okay. We're gonna point it out, we're gonna ignore you and move on.
And you know what, could we have them blown up, these things, and on the wall, so that people can read it? So that then if we say point of order, you don't have to go back and look in the agenda, and you can take a quick glance up there and say,
Or maybe
You know
what
what I
would be
mean,
good
refer
is
to
have a
it.
few like laminated copies that we spread throughout the room
you know,
at each
I just-
meeting.
there's
like
only
it's-
2 or 3 norms that people are consistent with.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you just need to read them at the beginning.
Yeah.
Point of order, norm.
Can I just make two other quick comments on it? I do think that besides getting our work done of the board, I do think that another very important purpose of this is just to communicate with the public, including people who don't like us. And so I do think that we just have to accept that our meetings are gonna be longer and slower than they would be if the only purpose was just getting our work done. And I kinda think that's just the way it is, like the long discussion on Prop 39, we didn't have any action item on it. So if we were just focused only on board action, we wouldn't have even put that on the agenda, but we needed to have it there. So I
Part of
need
it
a
is
balance, though.
part of it is education, and there are people here who actually want to come and be informed and learn about things, and there are some people who just wanna come and say what they need to say.
Yeah.
And so, but we should always recognize that we have the opportunity to
But just,
educate.
and I think if we do, you know, our responsibility to make sure that everyone in the audience feels safe. And if there are comments and snickering and clapping and things, I think we have, we have a responsibility to ensure that everybody feels safe. And so maybe if we do it that way, it becomes easier to stop it and say something because.
Yeah, or that they have the opportunity to participate by actually hearing what's going on and not being disrupted by others.
Right.
Is it okay for the audience to point out, because we had 2 women back here that were just talking back and forth. You were bringing out important information,
Right.
they were just totally ignoring it,
Yeah.
and also distracting the public
Yeah.
from hearing the important information. So are you saying that only you're gonna point out if somebody's disturbing the public, or can
Yeah.
audience?
I mean, I guess
point
what we can also say to people is if you're having if you feel that people in the audience are not adhering to these norms and you're having difficulty participating in the meeting because of that,